Let me talk to you about how to start a skincare line this year. And I want to share with you a few key steps that you need to really think about when you are considering having a cosmetics line this year. So here's an overview I want you to think about. It's really important to understand that when you think about a skincare brand or a cosmetics brand in general, you got to think about a lot of things because customers are not going to care about not just the brand, but also care about the chemistry, right? The production standards and also the sourcing of the ingredients because those are important elements to really think about. Now, when it comes to starting a skincare line this year, you might have to put up a little bit of cash too. I mean, you might have significant upfront investment. Why? Because depending upon the demographics you want to go after, depending upon the geography where you want to have production to actually be located at, or you want the ingredient to be sourced from, you might need to actually understand that you might need to spend some cash. Now, getting started on a meager budget is possible because you just have to be innovative. You have to be really, really careful about what kind of solutions you go after. Okay, and so the very first thing you want to do when you want to start a skincare line is you want to just get started. I mean, you want to forget the whole thing about the procrastination, analysis paralysis. That's crazy. I mean, you spend time, you spend years, months just analyzing over and over. No, just start already. You want to start already, okay? So the thing is that when you start, what will happen here is that you will be in analysis mode. You will be in production mode, not just like let's say practically, but at least theoretically, you're gonna start thinking about what to do, brainstorm, write a business plan, or have you. So it's important to just get started, even if you don't feel ready. It's always important to get started. Next, what you want to do here is that you want to really do your research, right? Do your research about the type of skincare lines you want to go after. You want to think about your demographics. You want to think about what type of products, what type of demographics, what type of chronology, what type of age bracket you want to go after, right? Because skincare actually is a pretty subtle field. If you want to go for Gen Z, for instance, Generation Z, or Generation X, or Generation Y, or baby boomers, you got to really think about that. You have to go granular when it comes to the demographics. Very important. Next, you want to really find your skin. You would need to find your skincare niche because when you think about skincare, right, you have a vast market, you have a broad market, you have a deep market, but you got to really have a clear idea about that particular ideal client you're going after, right? It's all about being as precise as possible. Where newbie skincare founders can win is in identifying audiences underserved by the current brands on the market, right? It's all about you seeing a gap on the market and actually trying to really get in. There is no more clear example of this than in the cosmetics industry, where indie brands lead the charge on inclusive cosmetics for a wide range of skin tones, by the way. So that's kind of cool, right? So you got to really also think about innovation. Innovation can really help you out in terms of finding your skin care niche, and this is kind of important. For instance, you can try vegan skincare products. Yeah, that's a good possibility. Or you can go with natural skincare products, for instance. It's all about what really works in the industry, and you got to really like if you do a good research, you got to have a clear idea of what works and what doesn't work. And you can also like pay attention to other trends and niches in skincare. For instance, you can have a skincare for specific skin conditions like oily skin, dry skin. You can also think about adaptive skincare. For example, ingredients that respond to your skin's needs. You can have a multi-use products. For example, all over face and body balms. You can think about skincare cosmetics products. For example, cream blush with moisturizing properties. You can think about innovative products like skin-centric vitamins, spa-grade tools for home. That's a possibility. You can think about skincare marketed toward a specific niche audience. For example, cancer survivors. You can think about hot ingredients. For example, retinol, probiotics. So that's kind of cool. Or you can also think about something very simple. In other words, you can think about the simple formulations that exclude common allergens or are offered at lower price points. For example, organic ingredients, natural ingredients, clean cosmetics. and so on and so forth. So you have a lot of possibilities there. Next, you need to really invest in your skincare brand. I mean, it's all about investment, right? Because the whole thing is that you might have you can have the best niche possible. That's really true. But if you don't invest in your skincare brand, you're not going to actually to expand. So before you even consider product development, decide what you stand for. I'm talking here about your values. I'm talking about your principles. I'm talking about the kind of ethos you have. Okay, you can develop your skincare brand and grow an audience well before you manufacture products or even launch an online store. And so what you want to do is you want to really get to know your audience. You want to gather feedback, and you want to build trust. You want to cultivate relationships, okay? And you want to use this time to hone your brand story and generate hype around your upcoming launch. That's an important element to think about, okay? So visual brand identity is extremely important in the skincare industry. So compelling packaging that speaks to your target audience's aesthetic gives your brand a professional edge, and you got to have that professional edge if you are trying to survive in a very competitive industry. Also, you want to use the resources you've got, right? Don't try to really reinvent the wheel. Don't try to really spend millions of dollars that you don't have, that you don't even have. You want to go for what you have, okay? So if you don't have money for marketing, that's fine. Trying to be creative, okay? You can go on social media and see if you can actually build a community out there, for instance, okay? And so when starting your own skincare line, you want to find creative ways to stretch your dollar, whether they're starting your business from home, trying organic marketing ideas, or bootstrapping your growth. I mean, bootstrapping just means that you are actually working. You are providing services to other businesses in exchange for something else. So the whole thing here is that you got to think about exchanging like a services for services, right? So that's what bootstrapping really means. So you got to really identify in your community, for instance, what kind of services you can actually provide to other businesses, and in return, what they can actually provide to your business as well. So that way, you do not have to actually spend any cash. Of course, you might actually spend your time, but it's just a lot better, especially if you are sort of tight on cash. So that's important to think about when you when you think about using the resources you've got. Okay, it's all about stretching the dollar. It's all about making sure that you are very innovative. Next, you want to get hands-on with skincare product formulation and manufacturing. So here we are speaking about what we're speaking about chemistry. We are speaking about you having you having phone calls with your producer. You actually sourcing the ingredients. You actually getting down to the chemistry of the product itself. Okay, there are a few methods for formulating products: making them by hand at home, renting a dedicated manufacturing space, working with a lab to create custom products, or taking a private label or a white label approach with a beauty manufacturer. So you have a lot of possibilities. So when it comes to creating a skincare line at home, so simple formulations like facial oils can be made from home. However, to actually manufacture cosmetics in the US, you need to follow FDA guidelines for ventilation, air control, and surfaces. So while your manufacturing processes should adhere to FDA standards, there is flexibility for businesses that manufacture in spurts. So mobile clean rooms, especially pop-up tents, are designed for this purpose and ideal for small businesses. So this is something to really think about. So experimenting with formulations yourself will help you understand the properties you are looking for in a formulation, right? So in terms of consistency, appearance, scent. So and if you have that knowledge, this will position you for informed conversations with your manufacturer. Why? Because you know exactly what you want. You understand everything in what you want, down to the chemistry, down to the chemical level. And speaking about your manufacturer, it's really important for you to establish a relationship with that player, because if you don't have a relationship with your skincare manufacturer, you are going to have a poor quality product, and you do not want to have that. Now, you can actually work with manufacturers in both the U.S. and China, or U.S. like other countries. But what you want to do is you want to go for a location where the labor is still cheap compared to the U.S. So Asia right now is sort of good in terms of quality and affordability. So that's important. Okay, but you can also think about white label or private label skincare lines. So white labeling involves applying your own branding and limited customizations to an existing product. And so this is actually beneficial for for you if you are looking to monetize a personal brand, may have less interest in product development. And so popular creators and influencers often use this method to monetize their large audiences. So this is an important element to think about. And so that's for white labeling. What about private labeling? So private label skincare lines work in similar way, but they are more customized to brand and product specifications. They are also generally developed in partnership with a private label lab like Genie Supply. And with these models, you can still start your own skincare line with zero experience. So that's kind of cool from a flexibility point of view. You are going to love it. Okay, so that's an important element to think about. But overall, you have flexibility. You have possibilities. That's something you need to think about. So think about the four options I gave you, right? So I gave you what? I gave you you doing stuff from home, for instance. You actually are doing stuff with the manufacturer. You're doing stuff from a production lab. So that's totally possible. The thing is, regardless of the option that you choose, you got to really go with an option that really works for you, right? Works for your resources, works for your audience, but most importantly, works for your business. If you are a startup and you don't have a lot of resources, you want to go as slow as possible, as slowly as possible, because that's how you're going to analyze the market, see what works and what doesn't work. And the thing is, you can even start little. You can start with one product line and see how the market, how your audience appreciates it, and then after that, you can really scale. That's going to help you see what works and what doesn't work, and that's important, especially when it comes to scaling over time, because you got to have a clear idea of what works before you can scale. Otherwise, you are going to make a huge mistake down the road. So speaking about what works, what doesn't work, you have to put your skincare formulations through rigorous testing. Remember, when you think about skincare in general, you have an element of chemistry, and people care about how they look. People care about how they feel. People care about what kind of products they put on their face, right? So that's why skincare becomes very sensitive. So you want to make sure that you have to put your formulation, your chemistry, if you will, through rigorous testing. So while the formulation, like when you actually think about the formulation, I want you to think about what? I want you to think about whether you did it or whether you actually had a third party lab do it for you, right? Remember that it's not just about packaging. Packaging is important, that's for sure. But what's inside the package is also really critical. Remember, people are putting stuff on their face, on their skin. Your skincare line has an everyday impact, right? So you want to make sure that you are actually offering your audience something very well thought out. Okay, so when I think about formulation, you got to really ask yourself, if you did it yourself or a third party lab did it, chances are you want to test it yourself on your own skin, but also on the skins of your family members or your close friends, your closest friends. That way, you have an idea of what works. And I'm not just talking about formulation for formulation during 3 days or 1 week. No, I'm talking about formulation, testing the formulation for 1 month. You want to give it a full month so that you can see, because see, the thing is, when it comes to cosmetics products, some products actually act very crazy over time, like very bizarrely over time. So you want to have a long term view, a long term you want to have a long span when it comes to testing the formulation to see what really works. Okay, and for instance, you might actually realize that one product that you actually think was actually pretty safe, quote unquote safe, turns out to be incompatible with glue. And and this could be problematic, especially if you are asking your audience to use brushes as part of applying the product on their skin. So you got to be very careful here. And one thing for sure, if you want to really, you also have to think about your reputation. So reputation is really critical, especially in the long run. That's going to help you actually know what works and what doesn't work. Very important. One thing for sure, you need to really understand safety and labeling laws in the skincare business. Because the thing is that when you think about skincare, you have to think about something that's very, very, very personal, something that's health related. That's why in the states you have the FDA being involved. And one thing I want to say here is that you have to really understand that you are making products that could potentially harm people, right? So you want to really educate yourself on things like uh, pre- preservatives, shelf life, allergens, and proper storage, and also the handling of the skincare products. And you also have to research. You have to research the labs you'll be working with because that you want to make sure that you have a clear idea about what works. So let me give you a few sort of examples. Let's talk about the product shelf life, for instance. You got to really have a clear idea about the product shelf life because some products have a longer shelf life, while others don't really have that longer shelf life. So it's one of those things where you have to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Also, trying to really educate. You want to educate yourself on labeling laws, and the thing is that legal requirements can be discouraging for those starting a skincare line from scratch. And every country or region will have their own rules. So it's one of those things where again you want to do some research. Also, think about skincare product stability and safety. So, while it's possible to dabble in skincare from your own home, there are limitations because those products actually have some chemical inclination, right? If your products contain water, you are potentially putting your customers in a lot of danger. So that's an important element to think about. Also, think about business licenses for skincare brands. That's an important element to think about. So you don't need a federally recognized license to sell homemade cosmetics and skincare in the US. However, the FDA carefully regulates this industry and requires you to have approval for certain ingredients. Now, the laws differ depending on the country where you are manufacturing and selling your products. So be sure to do your homework or seek even the advice of a lawyer because the thing is, you're trying to cover your ass. That's what you want. That's what you want right off the bat. So you want to do as much research as possible. So those are things I want you to think about. Think about the product shelf life. Think about labeling laws. Think about skincare product stability and safety. And think about business licenses for skincare brands. And it doesn't matter if you are selling in the States or you are selling in Asia or you're selling in Africa or you're selling in Latin America. You want to really educate yourself on the laws and regulations in the geographies where you will be selling the products. Very important. Next, you want to build trust with your customers through transparency and content, right? So when I talk about transparency, it just means you are having a conversation with your audience. It's all about telling them the ingredients, being very transparent about pricing, and also when I speak about content, content can come from multiple aspects. You can actually have content on your blog. You can have content on your social media. You can have content on a landing page. It's all about establishing a relationship with your audience and answering all questions they have. Okay. Now, in the U.S., under the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act, the FDA requires manufacturers to actually list every ingredients in their products. So that's important. So that means what? That means that you got to be really transparent here. Okay. So you got to really make sure that you are putting like, why are you putting honey and metals and all of this garbage inside a product? You got to really explain that. The law wants you to explain it. Okay. So it's very important in terms of transparency for you to have a clear idea of what works in your industry and what doesn't work. And when I speak about content marketing, I'm talking about, not only a strategy that can help potential customers find you, but it also builds authority for your brand. And so what you want to do here is you want to have a clear idea of what works in your industry. That's an important element to think about, not only in the short run, but also in the long run. Okay. especially when you're thinking about the moving down the road later on. That's an important element to think about. Okay, so that's an important element, and also you want to lean into what makes you unique. I mean, by the way, before I talk about what makes you unique, also think about the reviews. So positive reviews are another signal to potential customers that your product delivers what it promises, and the number of options on the market, unpronounceable ingredients, and smoke and mirrors marketing copy drives skincare consumers to online reviews before they buy. And you want to lean into your difference. What makes you unique? Okay. And so marketing is one of the biggest challenges for many new founders. And because it's very competitive and constantly evolving, skincare is an industry that requires consistent attention to this aspect of the business. Okay. So it's not just enough to have a great product to succeed in the skincare industry. If you are a beauty entrepreneur, you need to invest much of your attention in defining your audience and understanding its unique needs. So it's all about you trying to find out what makes you like what differentiates you from the rest of the other players, right? It's all about looking at your competencies, looking at your ingredients, looking at your products, and looking at how you package the whole thing. Okay, so uniqueness actually is not just something that you say that you are unique. No, uniqueness can actually be achieved through a product differentiation, brand story, branding design, or marketing. So you have a lot of capabilities there, especially when it comes to being a unique brand in the long run. So scalability is kind of important. So in conclusion to this conversation, I explained to you how to start a skincare line, and I gave you the overview, and I give you the steps you need to follow. And now the conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.